some stunning new developments in the media business, which has major impacts for all of you. Let's put this up there on the screen, which is AT&T spinning off its media business in a deal with Discovery. So now they have created a company bigger than Netflix, NBC Universal. Warner Media and Discovery together generate more than $41 billion in sales last year with a $10 billion annual profit. And this matters a lot for the future of CNN, Crystal, because actually selling to a more profitable and larger media entity will make it so that CNN will be largely impervious from market pressures and can continue its horrific slide into whatever the hell it is becoming. But it also matters a lot for content, which is that Warner Media, which is what owns HBO Max, is another area where there have been a lot of controversy recently. And it was very telling to me that Jason Kilar, he's a studio executive who was involved with a lot of what was happening at HBO Max, is said to be on his way out. It matters in terms of studio control, because what was happening is that HBO Max during the pandemic was like, look, people can't go to theaters. We're just going to put our stuff direct on HBO Max for subscribers. Studios freaked out because a lot of their back end for actors and all these other people, their money comes from that. So in a way, this is kind of a revenge on that. But the business behind this dramatically informs what you see and what you hear, and the increased corporatization and the combining of Warner Media, CNN, Oprah Winfrey, and HGTV. It's terrible, in my opinion, because it just more consolidation leads to basically you are impervious from the real market, and it actually still controls mass media.
Right, so it's a massive content monopoly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're looking at here. And the failure of AT&T to be able to make this thing work is also very interesting, because when this deal initially came together over the objections, again, of a lot of people who saw this as a major antitrust violation, and they had to, go to court and fight to win the right to have that merger to start with. The idea was, okay, you've got AT&T, which has like the backbone of distribution, and then you're going to layer on top of this integration of you've got the content and you've got the architecture. But, creating content that people want to watch is a wildly different business than broadband or wireless or 5G or any of that. And they just really weren't able to figure out how to make any of that work. They blame the court process holding them back. But I think ultimately they didn't have the know-how to actually create content and make this business make sense. So it's a dramatic failure on their part of something that was much heralded and that everybody was writing columns about how this was the future of how things were going to be going with everything all stacked within one company. So you're moving from that sort of an antitrust issue to now over to, okay, well, we'll just put all the content players together in one piece. It is a dramatic shakeup, and will be interesting to see the implications that it ultimately has. In terms of CNN, there's a specific implication here for Jeff Zucker. He was saying that he was probably going to leave. People are now saying maybe he's going to stay around longer because he likes the executive here more than he liked the executive over at AT&T, and he felt that their cost-cutting measures were sort of cramping their style at CNN. And even though CNN's ratings have been dramatically down, as we've covered here, in the post-Trump era, that's actually not where the bulk of their revenue comes from. When you put these news channels on the cable network, it actually, it increases subscribers. People, even if they're not going to really watch the news that much, they want to have it in the lineup. So they're able to get these pretty premium carrier fees. That's where a lot of their revenue comes from. So in a way, these businesses, even though we talk about the ratings a lot with cable news, especially Fox and CNN, are actually insulated a lot from the daily ratings ups and downs, which, yes, have an impact on their revenue, but are actually not the biggest piece of their revenue. So they were already somewhat insulated from that pressure, and this will make them even more so.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated to see what's going to happen here, especially because CNN is explicitly abandoning its kind of facts. I mean, it already did, but I'm saying even in terms of their marketing. I saw a Washington Post piece where it's like CNN becomes emotional, like anchors crying on the air and giving speeches, and I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what we need. But that is what more of what they're trying to lean into in order to make up for the ratings mess, and explicitly abandoning some of what they were doing. So I think even the change in the marketing and now with the new business, it just has big implications, because to try and understand the business behind what you see, actually does dramatically inform what happens. Like how our culture is driven by mass media is something you just can't ignore. The business implications around that immense. This new corporate media conglomerate, another step in the same direction.
Indeed.
There we go.
All right, we'll have more Rising for you after this.